Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Max, and today I'm going to be talking about the first episode of Hawkeye. Alright, so I really didn't know what to expect from the show. I loved all the trailers we got. I love Christmas, so that was an added bonus with this show. But in terms of the story, I haven't really read any of the Hawkeye comics. I know a little bit that happens in them because of all the discussions that have been happening online. But I really didn't know where this story would go, and I have to say the first episode of Hawkeye really has me hooked on the show. A criticism I've heard from a few people online is that the show is a little slow in the first couple episodes, which I wouldn't disagree with, but I think it is necessarily slow, and it's slow done in a correct way. You know, when people say something is slow, that typically means that there isn't a lot of interest in the story or anything, and there is a lot going on with the story here. Yes, it's slow and low on action, but the action comes into play when it needs to come into play, and I can already see it ramping up just based on clips we've seen and what people have said about the episodes. So I think there's no worry when it comes to that. Now, what I liked about this episode a lot, my favorite aspect of it without a doubt was Kate Bishop. This is my first time really being introduced to the character beyond what we saw in trailers in the Disney Plus Day clip, and I believe I've never seen Hailee Steinfeld act ever, so I was really going into this with no knowledge of the actress or the character, but I absolutely fell in love with this character upon watching the first episode because there is a lot that happens involving her character. You know, we see her and how she admired Hawkeye from a young age, and he really fueled everything that she grew to love and who she became. And she does have that kind of careless side to her as well. So I really see like a Iron Man, Spider-Man kind of relationship between Kate and Clint. And I think that'll be really great, especially since it seems like their relationship is a little more organic. Of course, you know, with Peter Parker and Tony Stark, it was the mentor thing. But I think with Kate and Clint, it's more of a father-daughter relationship. And I really like how they're bringing that out in the episode in terms of how she views him. Yeah, I really liked everything we learned about Kate Bishop, her background, the character overall, the fighting we saw her, do near the end with the tracksuit mafia, her with the bell tower. I think that was great. And just learning about the whole dynamic with her mom and how she's, wealthy, but she doesn't really care for the wealthy side of things. And as far as what we've seen, she's more into, archery and things like that. And I think it's just a great character to bring into the MCU because she's grounded, but she's spontaneous enough to where she's extremely interesting, which is an aspect I really liked in shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I'm super pumped to get a character like that again, and so far I'm loving everything I'm seeing from her. The second thing I liked a lot was how they're setting up this story, because we did get background with Clint through things like his hearing aids. This is something that we are learning about the character. We're kind of seeing how he has to deal with life outside of the action scenes he usually comes into, because, of course we've seen some, slower and more dramatic moments with Clint, but actually seeing him outside of the superhero role is not really anything we've seen except for a few scenes throughout the movies. Where they're at the safe house and things like that. And I really like getting this sense of how he is with his family when there's not really any stressful situation going on, and just seeing how him and Kate already have these connections through the Ronin suit and things like that, I think are really great Easter eggs and clues to put into this episode, because I think they'll pay off a lot in the future episodes. Now, the last thing I want to talk about from episode 1 is the overall tone of the show, because we've been into a lot of the MCU cosmic side of things, and all we've really gotten in terms of the grounded stories in the past 5 years or so, here and there with Spider-Man, but he's encountered some of the bigger characters and has some people backing him. But, the first time we really got anything very, very grounded feeling was Falcon and the Winter Soldier for these Disney Plus shows. And I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a really good show, but there was always something that felt like it needed a little bit more. And even though this first episode of Hawkeye was a little bit slower, it felt like a more complete show. That's a common criticism I've had from these Disney Plus shows, is they felt like you took a movie and you added more story to certain elements, but they weren't exactly created like a show in terms of where they stopped, started, and there were arcs and certain things that didn't really feel complete within the episode it should have been. And I think Hawkeye 100% solves that, at least in the first episode. The first episode felt like it had a start point, it felt like it had an end point, it knew what the tone was, and it really focused on what it needed to focus on for a first episode to set the characters up so we can explore the adventures they're going to have in the future episodes. You know, I think a lot of the problem with a show like Falcon and Winter Soldier, in my opinion, was how the character development was kind of this ongoing thing in terms of getting to really know the character. But here we jump into it right away. Where does Clint pick up? Who is Kate Bishop? We learn her background, why she loves what she loves, who she admires, which is Hawkeye, and who she is as a person now, her family life, and then we can really just get into the story. It's not this ongoing process of wondering, you know, why you might care about this character or who are they. So I really liked how they did that with the show, and I have to say, this is without a doubt my favorite premiere of a Disney Plus Marvel show. I want to say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still holds the place for my favorite, but of the Disney Plus shows, this one absolutely is the best because, again, it felt like an episode that was, you know, it had a start point and an end point. It was a great setup to the show. It introduced us to characters. It gave us some things to already think about, and I can't wait to see where it goes in episode 2. So that's about all I have for now. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.